as promised, one of not just South Africa, one of the world's premier adventurers. I'm never entirely sure where he is, so let's find out. A very warm welcome to the Dan Nicholl Show, Kingsley Holgate.
Yeah, what a pleasure to be on your show and to have all those wonderful guests with you. So great stuff. Thank you.
I'm always interested as to where Kingsley finds himself. Where are you at the moment, Mr. Holgate?
Well, at the Kingsley, please. But at the moment, yes, we're on the coast of Greece. We've just pulled in here last night. I must say a bit flagged from the journey, but we're here awaiting our 3 Land Rover Defenders that are going to be shipped across from ancient Alexandria in Egypt. So, yeah, we fired up. We finished the Africa crossing 7 months after leaving from Cape Agulhas. So lovely to be with you in the studio and, yes, on the coast of Greece.
So 7 months, Dan. I've got no doubt that as per Kingsley adventures of the past, it's been quite an extraordinary journey. Give us a snapshot of those 7 months and what's driving this particular expedition.
Well, it's something we talked about for years around campfires and said to ourselves, how would it be to drive a few Land Rovers all the way from Cape Agulhas, the southernmost point of our beloved African continent, all the way to Noordkaap in Norway's Arctic Circle, so from Hot Cape to Cold Cape. So that's what we're busy at the moment, and of course, so importantly, that to be able to use this journey to do good and to help others along the way. So it's been a fascinating journey.
To give us some of the highlights of the trip so far.
Well, as always, you know, the humanitarian work is a sort of cornerstone to our adventures, and I think we would sort of feel a little empty if we didn't get up to what we do to help others along the way. And it's a very sort of humbling initiative on this journey. It's been all about malaria initially on the early part of the journey, assisting Goodbye Malaria, something that was started by Nando's, can you believe it? Good old Robbie Brosen felt that after a journey with us into Africa that he should do something to fight the silent killer, the old Anopheles mosquito that costs so many lives. So we were able to do really good work in that regard with Goodbye Malaria, especially in southern Mozambique. And then, of course, you can well imagine we left South Africa during those difficult COVID times when very few people were adventuring. So that in itself was a challenge, you know, all the PCR tests as we went, should we go, shouldn't we go? But we left with a good heart. And as we made our way through Zululand, what was so important to us was the completion of numerous visits. In fact, hundreds of visits to deep rural creches, distributing do more packs of nutritional food, nutritional porridge to mums and kids. And on leaving South Africa, we had this sort of yardstick that we had to meet for the adventure, and that was to reach 2 million meals worth. And we achieved that, left into Mozambique, did the malaria work, and as we continued north, then we started to do more right to sight. I guess something that your audience would take for granted, you know, a simple pair of reading glasses, you go into a pharmacy and buy them, but a number of people out there, you know, simply have a lesser quality of life for the sake of reading glasses. We've done about 250,000 pairs to date, and you know the instant gratification of an elderly person, maybe a Maasai mum doing beadwork, and she can't see the colours of the beads anymore, and all of a sudden she can pick up the red, blue, the green, and the yellow. So right to start, water purification, malaria work, and of course a great journey with loads of challenges.
I'm sure. It's wonderful work that you continue to do. We know the malaria story well. I joined Robbie's team a couple of months back in Mozambique, and that in itself is a terrific project. There are so many different parts of Africa that you are exploring. Have you run out of places? Are there still places even Kingsley Holgate is discovering for the first time?
Well, you know, I have to confess that sitting here chatting to you now on this pier, not far from Athens, is the first time I've sat here. So, of course, there's always something new. And I think you'd need 10 lifetimes. There's always something new, new places, new cultures, new activities, new vistas, wildlife. And, of course, our total commitment is always to Mama Africa. So, yes, there's always something new.
And there are always challenges. You touched on them a moment ago. On this particular trip, have there been moments that have even got the famously cool, calm and collected Kingsley Holgate just a little perturbed?
Yeah, I'm afraid they have. Because of all the sort of COVID endowments, we decided not to do the normal West African route up to Morocco and cross from Tangiers to Europe. And on this occasion, we were determined to keep east. And then you'll recall at the last moment, civil war breaking out in Ethiopia. That in itself was a challenge. Could we go through Djibouti? Could we go through Eritrea? Ethiopia at that time was closed. So we took quite a radical decision, and that was to keep north, traveling across the two Sudans, namely South Sudan and North Sudan. And we knew in doing that, we'd have to cross that disputed area between the two countries. And my goodness, it gave us more than we'd expected. So yes, loads of illegal roadblocks, despite UN having a bit of a show with their Pakistani forces and trying to help us, and eventually just having to do it on our own. And illegal roadblocks demanding big bucks that we could never pay, AKs up our noses, and a lot of quite serious negotiation that finally brought us through that area, then arrested by the Sudanese, kept against our will in a sort of military compound. But always the people are great, and we always managed to chat. And, it was towards the end of Ramadan, so, not always an easy time to travel because you have to observe those various rituals. But we stuck it out and we remained smiling, and a really good team of people. And in our three new defenders, which sort of didn't let us down and gave it stick, and eventually all the way through to Khartoum, new military government, all about that. So the paperwork, just and the suspicion. But we just kept going, and through the Nubian desert and all those ancient temples of Nubia, the Black Pharaohs. And what was so special about that was we were the only people. Admittedly, temperatures rose to above the 50s on occasion, but we sort of pushed on and we got to Wadi Halfa, the northernmost tip of the Sudan. And then, of course, came the crossing of Lake Nasser into Egypt. And just to add to the adventure of Egypt, we decided to go to the ancient oasis of Siwa, not far from the Lebanese border, upon the Libyan border, deep in the Sahara. And that in itself was such a great adventure, and pushing these defenders at high speed to what they call the Great Sand Ocean, that part of the Sahara that goes all the way across to Libya. But might I share with you as a South African, and it made us proud, as we wandered through the grave sites of El Alamein, and those hundreds upon hundreds of South Africans, their tombstones there, Van Deventer, Swanepoel, Naidu, Dlamini, Smithers, that had given their lives up for freedom. And on those gravestones, the head of a springbuck and the words Eendracht maak mag, unity is strength. So, when we crossed that great western desert, the last bit of our big adventure in Africa, we thought of our brothers who'd given up their lives for freedom in that great battle of the North African campaign against Rommel, against Mussolini. And I was pleased and proud to be South African.
It's a remarkable story from a remarkable journey, Kingsley. And before you wrap up in Athens, what does the rest of the journey look like for that trip to the Arctic Circle?
Well, something new for all of us. None of the expedition team have been from here north. We African people, so we know there's going to be challenges. I made the mistake of Googling the price of a beer in Norway the other day. I should never have done that. But we'll have some challenges. We'll do a lot of camping. It's nice to notice that in Norway, for example, any piece of open ground, you're allowed to put up your roof tent. So we'll sort of have to manage the good old South African rand as best we can. But from here, it's through the Balkans, from Greece through North Macedonia. Of course, what has been a shock to us, as it has been to all of you, is the current situation in Ukraine and Russia. That was to be part of our journey north. Of course, we're going to circumnavigate that, and then on to Norway, to Nordkapp, the northernmost point, the furthest point that you can drive a Land Rover into. And that's going to be great to be taking our vehicles that far. And once we reach that point, we sort of head southwest in a bit of a race against time through Western Europe. and down to Anglesey in Wales, can you believe it, at Red Wolf Bay, where the first landy was drawn in the sand in 1947 by Maurice Wilkes, and that would be 75 years ago. That's the challenge.
Even Kingsley Holgate finding new adventures. Kingsley, lovely to have you on the show. Good luck with the last stretch. And when you're back in South Africa later this year, please come and join us in studio and share some more adventures with us.
That would be a great pleasure. And thank you so much for your time, and to your guests. Lovely chatting to you all. You know, I have to share with you that we're missing her.
Well, we look forward to having you back, everybody. Kingsley Holgate, live from Greece.